Hello and welcome to Wake and Jake, myself, King Beebs, as we talk about the Cody Bellinger signing. He returns to the Cubbies. Interesting little contract, couple opt-outs early on. We talked about it on Talking Baseball, but we'll talk about it here, what it means for the other free agents. JD Martinez dunks on the Giants for no particular reason, but that's just how he gets down. The rest of the Boras 4 as we leak into spring training games. I got to watch some baseball this weekend. I really enjoyed that. I hope you did as well. Or you checked in on, some NBA action. College basketball is cruising, but we're going to keep it pretty baseball focused today. And it starts with Belly back to the Bears. Cody Bellinger is a Cub. 3 years, $80 million, 30-30-20, with opt-outs after every year, essentially. The final year is just the end of a contract, but Cobell returns to the Cubs. As you look at their lineup, it feels a lot better with him back in it. I know there's been some discussion about what the Cubbies are going to do with the top of their order, but some combination of Horner, Swanson, Happ, Belly, Seiya, you can make a top part of the lineup. The contract, the opt-outs, my initial reaction was, ooh, like it all around, which me and Jom talked about on Talking Baseball, and he was kind of the opposite effect, and I think we figured out why, and I think we landed in a good place. Jimmy was kind of looking at it through the fan scope. It does kind of stink. If Cody Bellinger is good this year, he will be a free agent again. Now, the Cubs will be able to bid on him if they want, and Cody could go back to Chicago, which I think was a part of his free agency negotiation. Like, from everything we've heard about Belly the human, I think he liked Chicago. I think it was a good mix of baseball town, but not the crazies of Boston, New York, maybe L.A.
Maybe lump him in for now.
Although he, obviously
years he was there.
Obviously came up in that. The reasons I liked it, if you're Cody Bellinger, for me, if Cody Bellinger has a good season in the next 3 years, he's going to get another contract. Obviously, the scope of how good that season is and when it happens dictates the next part. I know that sounds basic, but if Cody Bellinger goes off this year, does essentially the same thing, he'll hit free agency again. He will be 29 years old, still on the right side of 30. He'll have put together back-to-back really nice seasons that, again, his career numbers still look pretty good. He just had 2 really bad years, his age 25 and 26 season, that clearly seemed linked to injury. He had the shoulder injury. I still remember we did a live stream. My guy Cole Tucker, Seattle Mariners, sent me a pic of himself in the Mariners uni. I'm going to text it to BBD, and we'll get his reaction when he's back on camera, looking real cute. But I remember we were live streaming, and Cole Tucker was live streaming the playoffs with us. And I said, man, the belly stuff, dude, like, started doing a whole speech like, man, baseball's kind of a weird sport, huh? Like, it comes and goes. I casually mentioned, I was like, was Belly really, like, hurt this year? Like, I can't remember a significant injury. And Cole just looked at me, like, with honest puppy eyes. He's like, his shoulder, bro. So he ended up doing the 1 year with the Southsiders are the Cubs? Northsiders?
They're on the north side.
They're the Northsiders. The White Sox are the South. Yeah, that makes sense. But they don't get called the Northsiders, right?
Yeah.
White Sox get called the Southsiders.
They're like the Southsiders. They're just like on the north side.
Chicago. I've already had my issues with your town. Cody comes back. If he has a big season in the next 2, he can easily get another contract like this where those final years become insurance policies. Or if he goes back-to-back, I mean, he's going to be deserving of a pretty big, $150 to $200 million type contract. The guy can play the whole outfield and first base if Father Time starts to kick in. So as long as you're getting some sort of offensive production, left-handed bat that can kind of be slotted, well, if he does what he did last year, 307, 356, 881, you'll take that dude anywhere. 26 homers, 20 steals. Good for the Cubbies. When I talked to Ian Happ, he half off the record, half on the record, gave we still think there's going to be another guy here, whether that was Belly or Chapman, I think he was referring to. And everyone kind of assumed Belly. Belly was there last year, is great, seemed like a good fit. Comes back, slotting him in the middle of that lineup helps a lot. Changes the feel there. And I think the interesting thing, I think the Cubs front office is stoked because they don't have the risk of, paying potentially older, not as good Cody Bellinger a lot of money. And I think I saw the Cubs fan base was pretty hyped because for them, if Cody Bellinger is good this year and opts out, that's a future problem. That's, hey, okay, Belly's on our team this year. Let's run. You figure it out in the future if he opts out, or if he has a tough year this year, you kind of have one more year of hope that he'll bounce back. And then Jimmy's side of the fan perspective, I did think was interesting that they can't fully sink their teeth into Belly. Cubs fans might bark back at that just a little bit because they've already sunk their teeth into Belly a little bit, but it would be a lot nicer if this was a 6-year, $130 million contract, and it was like, all right, Cody Bellinger is going to be a part of this franchise. Let's do it. Now, the question is, if any of you ever want to talk NL Central, I'm all ears because I don't know how you truly separate the Brewers, Cubs, Reds, and Cardinals. I really don't. The NL Central has a chance to be a lot of fun this year, which I guess we normally say almost tongue-in-cheek about the Central divisions the past couple years. I guess not the AL Central. AL Central was always just two teams, please compete.
It's like they've always had like one solid team in the AL Central. And I guess some years it's been a little bit like, well, one of you's got to win this. But this year for the NL Central, it's like you got at least 4 teams that are going into the season thinking they'll be pretty good.
So what the Cubs offseason is Imanaga to replace Stroman. They signed Neris. Kind of forgot about that. A little bullpen depth.
Stabilizing, yeah. Only one lefty in their bullpen.
Cody Bellinger returns, and then Michael Busch was in that Dodgers trade, and he's going to get a significant look at first base. So, again, the Cubs last year with a very similar roster, they did win 83 games. They have a bunch of top prospects that are in the pipeline, and let's see who gets called up this year / who can become capital, I suppose. But yeah, I'm still Central's wide open. If you can convince me either way on any of these, let me know. So from there, the conversation segues into the contract, the opt-outs. This is Boras. This is one of the original Boras 4. The new Boras 4, JD Martinez, slides up. He came out in the media and said that he turned down 1 for 14 from the San Francisco Giants, who then turned that into Jorge Soler for 3 years. I saw the internet was being kind of tough on JD because they were like, 37-year-old DH turning down $14 million. Like, that's not how this works anymore, Pop. But like we talked about offensively, his career stats and what he did last year, JD can offer what he wants. I'll be interested to see if there's more of a market or where that market lands for him. Because, man, I don't know. I know we've talked about the Mets. There's a few other teams that could... A pure DH. Yeah. That's tough, man.
Like even like a lot of like Soler, I've we've mentioned in passing, you can throw him in the outfield still, like on any given day. Where like JD, I think they did it like one full game and maybe the end of some weird ones last year. Like he really is a DH.
12 innings.
Yeah.
12 innings in the outfield last year. What did he make last year? Was that the end? So he was $10 million last year. I guess he played a little better than the year before. I don't know. I guess I was surprised to see that. I know that San Francisco and the Bay Area has gotten a lot of crap baseball-wise and living condition-wise, so maybe that's part of the $14 million decision there. Where are his landing spots?
I guess caveat is like any team's an injury away from potentially having at-bats open up, or the guy they currently have DH being more fully in the outfield. But like, Mets feel like a real option. I don't know what their appetite for a 1-year deal is, but
know what I'd sneaky love?
Fits.
Another team that made some action. The Marlins.
Yeah.
Right now, Avisail slotted as their DH. You put JD Martinez in that lineup, and it starts kind of becoming a lineup you can dream on. What does it mean? Do the Padres have room for a DH? They do. That would be good, but it's still just so right-handed.
Yeah. So
and do they have money?
If he's turning down $14 million, they probably have that area to work with as far as payroll additions go. I know they're a team waiting on a Kike Hernandez decision.
Texas Rangers would be interesting. Okay. There's still room for JD Martinez somewhere in baseball.
And there's a lot of teams that, like, push comes to shove. If you had JD Martinez, they can find him at bats.
Angels are your backup. Detroit, do you have a DH? Kerry Carpenter. Okay, let's see where the JD Martinez saga lands.
There's teams that can trade with the plan to flip.
I think the bigger thing with this, with the original Boras Core 4, now that JD's been elevated, Chapman, Monty, and Snell is, are they going to be open to this kind of contract? Kind of the consensus we've landed on so far is that if you're the pitchers, you need more of an insurance policy, just in case significant injury or it's just over. And I think Monty has been proven to be reliable, pretty good MLB innings, where Snell has been proved to, his best is as good as anyone's in baseball. There's just some risk of, does the performance fall off? No pitchers have really been good at just walking the ballpark. And then Matt Chapman, teams are just nervous.
He's of the original Boras 4, the one that should have been most open to the type of deal Belly got.
Right.
And maybe he is.
I think it's super in play for Chapman. The glove is always going to be there. If he's willing to do this, it's kind of the same thing in my brain. It's you're getting a payday with a little bit of an insurance policy. I think Chapman's going to be open to that. I think Snell, to a degree, will be. Like I said, I think he'd need more on the back end, a couple 20, 15 million, even something like that, just in case things go off the tracks career-wise. BBD, you said you solved Snell?
I figured out a structure that I think works. Okay. I sent it to some people, both in and out of this company. She's like, am I way off base here? Are there rules I'm missing on how this all works?
Okay.
So I found a 6-year deal structure that I think works.
Okay.
So in total, he would get to beat Rodon's money. I have it as 6/180 is like the baseline. Like, this is the contract that gets tweeted out.
Okay.
That would beat Rodon's money, which I think is like the starting point, and
be
rather healthily.
Could be fair.
It's that gives you a clean $30 million a year AAV.
Okay.
Which would, in the case of the Yankees, that matters to them because I have the first 2 years as being $40 million a year, each of those 2 years. So I think he gets beating Rodon and setting a not one of the old dude's salary records. at 40 mil a year. And then I have opt-outs after years 2 through the end. You can opt out whenever you want, Blake. And I have the 25 mil a year over each of those remaining 4, which is your next 100 million that he's guaranteed to him. And I have a way I had Jimmy's fun, like Yanks counter. I'm speaking specifically about the Yankees on this. They're the ones that can play around with their money the most. Yanks counter punch would be either replacing those 4 years with a $30 million salary rather than 25. So he gets a raise, which would bring the total value of the deal to $6,200. 200, kind of a number he'd like, I'm sure would love to be able to say, like, it can get to this number. Or if you needed to give him a 5th year at the same $30 million a year, maybe if you go 5th year, it's less, whatever. I think, like, if any time he can opt out of that, Yanks have the counter punch of they can opt back into that number, basically. Yeah, like it has to be structured something like that. Keeps the AAV lower than that 40 mil the first 2 years, especially because the Yankees over the final tier, so mitigates some of the tax payment. I think Boras gets some talking points that he would hang his hat on. Snell gets a pretty nice guarantee, opportunity for more. I think the Yankees would need at least 2 years promised to them for losing the draft pick and making like this was worth it. It's like kind of the best guess I've been able to throw out as far as like exact structure and front loading and all that. Because the Yankees also sneaky have not done a lot of front loading, or like they've kind of kept them even. But worst case scenario with this deal as well, the back end with the new rules and how trading away salary works, it's a lower luxury tax hit than what the Yankees took in. It'd be if you're on those back 4 years, which I'm sure there'd be some sort of no trade, but $25 million a year luxury tax hit if worst case scenario, not unmovable. Baseball.
Yankee fans still dreaming of Snell. I think you could get some of that in there. And yeah, I think we see more of a path. Opt-outs we have always known we thought would be a thing with Snell. It's just going to be how much. And yeah, I think for Belly, the 3 years and the timing of it makes a lot of sense. Snell and Monty are going to need more insurance on that. And if I'm Snell, I guess that's going to be the interesting thing at this point. His contract is going to have opt-outs. I would bet pretty good money on that. That I think we're probably going to hit a point where it's, what is the Snell priority? Is he really going to bet on himself in these next couple years? Or does a team really pony up? And is that injury coming that we've talked about with a franchise? But I don't know, man. That just seems... I realize it's happened before, but it wasn't on the level of Snell. Like, the only other thing that got brought up, and I think it was in one of the Wake and Jake comments, thank you guys for commenting, was Dallas Keuchel's free agency that just went into the season.
Yeah, he and Kimbrel had to wait it out.
They had to wait out the draft pick, which, I don't know. If we get there, that would be bad for baseball. Probably be good for talking baseball. Probably get some random clicky episodes. But, yeah, I hope we don't get there. I hope we get a fun Snell contract because, A, he's earned it. He just won the Cy Young, his second Cy Young. He's a free agent. He's got all the talent. The personality's fun. Doesn't matter, but...
It happened to Snell would be... It shouldn't have happened to Keuchel either, but at least that year it was like a fairly healthy step back from Cy Young year. 2 of the 3 years leading into that free agency were like not the peak. Like at least that, like there were more weird stuff there. Where like
his peripherals had gone down. Yeah. There was some action there.
Played it perfect.
Yeah.
It's like fucked up.
And yeah, the
Snell at this time.
Yankees are still the Vegas odds favorite. Jack Curry, who is like the Yankee angel of truth, he says that the Yankees aren't in on Snell as long as things stay the same. What does that mean? Because we do kind of know that Snell and Boras turned down $150 million. That was kind of reported.
Yeah,
I guess
the opening offer of $150 from the Yankees. Maybe that is or isn't the exact number, but there was an opening offer in that neighborhood. It declined.
So, Snell watch continues and looks kind of weird. Monty, I wonder if he's waiting for Snell. Texas still seems like a possible landing spot. They have some of their TV stuff figured out. In my dream world, and this is very East Coast, Snell signs with the Yankees. He does a weird 5-year deal with a bunch of opt-outs. I think that would force Red Sox management to go sign Jordan Montgomery, which he'd actually be a great fit for them. He's innings. He'd be the only lefty in the rotation. Stuff like that kind of does matter. And Monty kind of has a Boston beard, Jordan Montgomery. That's obviously a little bit of my AL East fan fiction. Other teams are going to be in on these guys because they're really good players. So let's see. I mean, if you had told us that Cody Bellinger was going to sign for under $100 million, I think we all would have been like, whoa, I don't know. Bad free agent market. And maybe it is. But he goes for the opt-outs. He stays in Chicago, which I think he wanted that. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see Matt Chapman to do something very similar because, like Trev always says on Talking Baseball, if Matt Chapman puts together a full offensive season, he can be an MVP-type candidate. We haven't really seen that in a little bit, but he's still got the exit velo numbers. You'd love to see him in a good lineup.
There's an element of what's it worth to still be like a threat, even though the results, yes, haven't been there at the level you want from him. Like he's a threat.
He's a threat. I mean, every season he's been 100 OPS plus or better. So, you know, the risk that seemingly Belly had, he doesn't have that, but he doesn't seemingly have the upside as he hasn't had a year equivalent to what Belly had since 2018. Interested to see the Matt Chapman teams, Seattle, Giants, see if like the Mets or any of these other dark horse teams get involved. Man, it would be kind of a Philly nuke.
Yeah.
They're always a threat, and Bohm doesn't grade out well defensively.
Feels like on both these guys, like we're waiting for a week. There's a real Phillies rumor at least, right?
Give me a rumor. Or maybe there's an injury, or this could drag into the season, which would be no fun. Okay. Yeah, I think the only other thing that I really want to mention, as it was fun to watch spring training baseball over the weekend. Juan Soto home run. Yankees putting up 22 runs in their first game. I mentioned it, but JD Martinez, I want to get the quotes on this. JD Martinez told the San Francisco Giants no to $14 million. And there was like a quote that said, I didn't want to sign there. Man, I shouldn't just have searched JD Martinez because, oh yeah, so Heyman reports that he quote unquote did not want to go there. I think that's a little dramatic. I think that's at that price tag. He did not want to go there. But it's an interesting question of a guy that's going to be your everyday DH, 37?
I think during the season will turn 37.
Turns 37 in August. Okay. Can work with that. 33 homers last year and 893 OPS. And he got called up to the big leagues. He was not part of the Boras 4, and now he is because Belly signed. So, probably the most reliable hitter on the market. I think that's all I've got from kind of this wraparound of spring training. I guess a little high and tight. Waking Jakey Tadeki. We'll be back with Jolliver doing another rankings list. We'll have to schedule that ourselves. And hey, I think if there's any other breaking news with the Boras 4, we might do something here.
Depends on timing.
It breaking Sunday morning with the Belly signing was kind of...
Yeah, I was like,
not much you can do with that. It's kind of
what were we going to do with that?
We'll see you Monday is basically what that is. So I guess I'll ask for some comments. Comment below if you're seeing something in spring training you likey so far. It is the time of eternal hope, probably too much hope. I've got Joe's McFly texting me about Luis Torrens. Is he homered in the first 2 spring training games?
Or if that's out of options, might be gone.
Hey, I guess let me know where the juicy goss from your team has come in this spring training. For now, sorry it's a shorty. Story of my life. But we will see you guys midweek or if there's any breaking news.
Jason Dominguez took 20 swings.
Phew!